In this video series, I'm going to go through setting up and configuring all of the components required to use self-service with Cloudforms in Azure. So as you can see, we are actually this is ManageIQ, which ManageIQ is the upstream project for Cloudforms. And currently I'm in the self-service portal for ManageIQ. And as you can see, I've got some resources here that can be deployed. And it's just as simple as basically clicking on one of these guys, and it gives you the options to now fill in what information is required in order to set up the resource that you decided to want to deploy. I picked SQL just because it happens to be the first one, and as you can see, it's asking for a resource name and the SQL database name. So I would put those two items in. I could add it to my shopping cart and then deploy that item. So this is what we want to get to by the end of this video series. So in this video number 1, I am going to actually be setting up the AWX server, which is the upstream project for Ansible Tower, which Cloudforms utilizes when it deploys its resources into Azure. So what I'm not going to do in this series is go through what it takes to set up a subscription in Azure. You can go ahead and just Google it, and you should be able to find all the information necessary. I think you can get a free MSDN account, and they offer like a $200 credit with that. So it's a good idea. I would just grab one. So in order for you to actually follow along and actually do this series, you would either need a virtualized environment where you can set up 2 servers, or you would need 2 physical servers, or some way to set up 2 servers. So I personally use Overt as my hypervisor, so I have a virtualized environment. So right now I've got my server set up, and for your AWX server, the requirements are that it has 2 CPUs, has 4 gigs of RAM, and you have at least 20 gigs of storage for /var, and obviously the OS itself. You can install this on a lot of different OSs. I chose CentOS because I like Red Hat products personally, so I'm using CentOS 7.5 for this demo. But you can use Ubuntu, you can use whatever. We're also going to be setting up Docker. So Docker, because it will be a Docker image that AWX is deployed using. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. So this is going to be the first video, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So I have my server up. I've already updated it, so you want to run and update your server. And then after that, the next step, if you're using CentOS, would be to install the epel repository. So yum-y epel-release. Now this will install, it might help if you actually type yum install-y epel-release. Usually needs the install included. So now that we've got that installed, we're going to go ahead and install a bunch of different packages. These packages we are going to need for installing the various items to set up AWX. So yum install again. Remember, don't forget the install. We're going to install yum-utils, device mapper persistent data, LVM2, python-devel, python-pip, and git. So when we deploy this container, we're actually going to be deploying it from a GitHub repository where the container actually is already set up. So it's one of the reasons why we're installing Git. And once this finishes, we will actually install and clone that repository. So this is the repository right here. It's the GitHub Ansible AWX for the AWX project. It should be just about done, and it is. So now we want to install Ansible. So yum-y install Ansible. few seconds. All right, so now we're going to want to go and clone that GitHub repository. So git clone https github.com Ansible awx.git. Now it's cloning, and you can clone it directly into root's home directory. That's fine. So now we're going to want to install Docker so we can actually install the AWX container. So first we're going to use yum-config manager to add the repo. And all of these steps will be listed below the video, so you can take a look and just copy or paste them if you want. This is /linux CentOS docker-ce.repo. Alright, so now we added the repo. Now we need to enable the repo. So again, with yum config manager, we want to enable docker-ce -edge repo. So now that's enabled, and then we're going to want to enable the test repository. Enable test. All right. So now we want to actually install Docker. Yum install -y docker-ce. And as you can see, I'm putting the -y before and after install. I'm not very consistent on how I'm doing it. And also, while that's installing Docker, this has all of the steps located under the install guide that you can follow. I think there's a few that I'm actually adding myself that it doesn't show in here. But yeah, they're all under there as well. So, and I will have this URL also listed among the steps. So, it should be easy to just copy and paste. And we're finishing up the Docker install now. And after we install Docker, we're going to want to enable it. So, and start it. Systemctl start. Docker. Okay. Now we're going to want to enable Docker to make sure it starts in case our system reboots. So now we'll just look. Systemctl status of Docker is running. Perfect. So now we want to use pip to install Docker again. This actually installs the docker-py module that we need. Alright, and it's just basically telling you now that you could have used an upgraded version of pip, but as we can see, it didn't matter. It installed what we needed, so we can move on. So now we're actually going to deploy the container. So we need to look where we're at. pwd, we are in /root. Let's just list the directories. cd into AWX. Directory listing again. We're going to cd into the installer. And list that again. And we can see there's an inventory file here. Well, we need to edit that inventory file. So vi inventory. And what we are going to be looking for is the Postgres data directory, which needs to be changed from /temp to /var/lib pgdocker. The port is good. Docker compose directory is good. And then we need to, okay, the username and password, that's all default. I leave that all default, so that's good. Same with the secret. That's good. We want to make this official true so we can have the official logos. Who doesn't want official logos? And then one last thing, we need to set our project data directory to that, which is fine. We just needed the uncommented. So now that we finish that, we can escape out of here. Shift ZZ to save. And now we just want to run a command against the inventory file. So we're going to cat inventory and pipe that to grep -v, because we're going to want to eliminate any lines that have the pound symbol in them. Enter. Now we can look at what our inventory file is specifying, which the Docker Hub base is Ansible, Docker Hub version is latest, the Postgres data directory is /var/lib pgdocker, host port is 80, Docker compose directory is /var/lib/AWX, all the username and password and database are default, that's good, the AWX secret is good, official logos are true, and our project directory is set to /var/lib/AWX/projects. So we're good. So now our next step would be to use Ansible to actually run the playbook to install the container. So if you could type better than me, it's Ansible playbook -I, then our inventory file, which is going to be used with the install.yaml file. Hit enter, and now this is going to take a few minutes, and it may take a couple minutes here at this Postgres container. It seems to take the longest there and at the RabbitMQ portion. And as it does that, I'm going to light up a smoke and wait for this to finish. This is all good so far. As you can see, it's changed a few things. The items that it's skipping, don't worry about that. It's all by default. Now it's activating the AWX web container. Should be almost done. I do find that it is good to have your own virtualized environment for stuff like this, because I don't know about you, I'm a systems engineer by trade. I actually started working with Azure a few months ago, and I've been finding that there are products out there that could be used that we don't use in my environment that I'm not getting any experience with. So I figured, hey, why not build a virtualized environment where I can start deploying these products myself and start working with them. And so that's what I've done. And most of what I'm doing now has all been self-taught or through the tutorials you find online. Not always the greatest, so it's kind of why I'm setting this up. But as you can see, we have now finished. So we are good. We have now installed the AWX container. So now the next step would be to go and, well, actually, let's take a look here first. You can type docker container list, and this is going to list our containers. Now, let me see if I can, there we go, get a better look at it. You can see all these containers have just started. So now what I want to do is, I'm going to use the IP address, but if you have your DNS set up correctly, you wouldn't need to do that. You could just type in the actual host name. And now, as you can see, AWX is upgrading. And it's going to go through this process for, I don't know, 5 minutes, I would say. And once it's done, it's going to bring you to a login prompt, or sorry, login screen, with which you are going to use admin as the username and password as the password. All default stuff. And then once you log in, you can go ahead and change all that information and set it up so that it's more secure for your environment. Clearly nobody wants to use password as their password. So if you've gotten to this point, you've deployed the container, you've deployed AWX, and now it's just upgrading and will be ready to use in just a few moments. And it has finished, and here we are with the username and password fields. So, like I said, we're going to type in admin and password and sign in. And here we are, brand new deployment of AWX Tower. It's a beautiful system. So, this is really all this video was supposed to go over. So we have completed video 1 of this series. Now the next video, I think what I will do is actually deploy the Manage IQ or Cloudforms server. And yeah, we'll go from there. So thank you for watching, and if you are interested in continuing to watch this series, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you very much.